We'll open up the floor. Austin Ward over to the left.
Ryan, when you guys open camp and how you structured any differently with the
Yeah, so we're going to start August 3rd, and we're going to have 2 days of helmets, a couple days of shells, take Sunday off, then come back with shells. And the rules this year, allow us to have it's 9 in pads, 9 in shells, and then 7 helmet practices. So that's a little bit different. So we just had to kind of put that together. I think the big stretch for us is going to be those 2 weeks, from I think it's August 9th to like the 21st. Those are 2 real big weeks for us in there.
I feel like
there's nothing that can be done to change it. Do you like the proposals, the changes that were made? Do you feel like you need more?
No, I think we're okay. I just think that at this point it doesn't really matter. But I think the padded practices and the shell practices, to me, what's the difference between putting on your helmet, shoulder pads, and then having your pads from in the lower extremities? It's just safer to me. So I think it would make a little bit more sense if we were had 18 in pads and then 7 in helmets. But it is what it is, and we'll make it work.
Right next to Austin on the left, Dave.
Ryan, I asked you about the interior of your offensive line today. Just want to ask you a follow-up about that. Is it safe to say, I know it's going to be a competition, is it safe to say it's Gary's job to lose and center and Matt Jones' job to lose in hard spots? Or how would you say?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, those guys are all going to compete, and we'll see. These things find a way to kind of work themselves out. So we're going to give the guys a lot of reps and let them go. But no, I can't sit here and tell you I think that there's an incumbent right now. Those guys have played, and we'll kind of see as we get going. But like I said, it has a way of kind of sorting itself out. Yeah, one thing about Matt is he's very athletic and very talented. So, I mean, if you put 10 clips of film on, he looks like a first-round draft pick. And then there's 10 plays where maybe not as consistent. So he has the ability. It's now, can he continue to stay focused and have consistent play? Because if he can, he could be one of the best offensive linemen, on the team, and certainly even in the conference. I mean, when you talk to the guys on defense, they talk about how heavy Matt's hands are and how athletic he is. And once he gets on you, it's hard to get off of him. So it's like with any offensive lineman, it just, they come on at different times. And so to see some of the reps he had last year did not surprise us. No, he's talented.
Left center, Steven.
Well, when Coach Steve retired, definitely thought at the same time, me and my teammates, regardless of the coaches, our
I'm not going to put a date on it, but you'd like to have it by the first 2 weeks of the preseason, in a perfect world, so that you could start to get them the reps ready to play in that first game. But even still, we're still going to spread the reps around because, like I said earlier today, there's going to be 3 guys in this thing all the way to January, or as long as we can play. So, but I guess if you're looking for a kind of a ballpark, it'd probably be about 2 weeks into camp.
He's a guy that's like
now you get a chance to get it correct everything that you got.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what this is going to look like moving forward. If I did, I'd probably sleep a little better right now, but I don't know. And I know that we want to have that room be around for 2 to 3 to 4 years so that we can have experience as we head into December and January, because that's one of the things we haven't had. We've had really good quarterback play in Dwayne and Justin, but not a lot of experience where, it's a third-year starter. We had that with JT, and that was great, but we're trying to get that again.
Right next door, Bill.
Chop is the ability to sense the focus in the moment right in front of you. Not behind you, but in the moment right in front of you. That's it, right there.
I mean, it's even to me. We'll see how these last few months, the guys have changed. I mean, I think they've all done a really good job with Mick. Their bodies look like they've changed. They've gotten stronger. They've gotten faster. So we'll have a better idea again once we get on the field and start practicing. But we kind of look at the spring practice as 15 practices, and then practice 1 of preseason is like practice 16 in a body of work. So, but I'm interested to see what they look like as they come out.
Obviously, it was a fun. It would have been fun. It would have been kind of special. But at the same time, it's another game. I was there with my guys. We prepped just the same. I was just as much a part of that game as I could be. So I felt like I had done my best to be able to be like be full. Even if you are injured, be there as a support guy. Be there to ask them. It all comes down to pay attention to the details. Yeah, I mean the guys that I had great.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to play the best player, and that's what it's going to come down to. But I hear what you're saying, and we'll kind of figure that out as we go. I don't know if it's going to be as easy as just saying, okay, here's the starting quarterback, and he's our guy for 3 years. I'd like to think that's going to be the case, but my experience tells me that's not going to be the case. So that's the unknown of this season for sure.
Right in the front row, Clay.
How many running backs could you play? I know the pair and the spare.
Yep.
Travion going to get on the field. Lyon's going to get on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can play. You can probably play three running backs. I think when you start getting a little bit more than that, it's hard. But again, it's a long season, and these guys are going to have an opportunity to play based on again what happens over the next couple of weeks. But I don't think you can really play more than 3 because then you can't get yourself into a rhythm. And then maybe a little bit more situational if that's what we find. Some guys do a little bit better on 3rd down, short yardage, those type of things. I mean, he's the incumbent coming in for sure. Yeah, I mean, he's got the biggest body of work, and he's done a really good job for us. And so yeah, I'd say right now as we head in. Now, he didn't do really anything in the spring, so I think he's healthy as we head into preseason, which is great. And we'll go from there.
Right next door, gentleman in the blue.
Hi, Coach Matt Kennedy, Minnesota Daily. Have you guys taken a deep dive at Minnesota Daily versus week 1? And if you have, what jumps out to you?
I think they don't turn the ball over. They're physical up front. The running back runs hard. The quarterback keeps them on schedule. Very sound on defense, and they don't give you any games. Last year was very difficult to try to make sense of because of all the different interruptions that they had and people that were out and the COVID situation. And so because of that, I don't think you put all that much into last season. You really look back to 19. That's probably the best picture of what they look like, and so we'll go off of that. But yeah, I think that they control the ball well. They don't turn it over. They make you earn everything that you get.
When you play at a loud environment, Minneapolis, it's going to be a sold-out arena. Are you nervous at all playing C.J. Stroud or Jack Miller who doesn't have a lot of experience?
Yeah, we're nervous about playing in any game right now with a young quarterback, especially one that hasn't thrown a college pass. So. Yeah, there'll be a lot of sleepless nights as we head into that first game.
What keys in that game in particular, do you want to make?
Well, we got to be physical. We got to take care of the football, and we got to have to tackle really well in that game. If runs go for 3-4 yards and turn into 7 and 8, that's when we start running into an issue. So it's the fundamental things in a first game that we got to really do a good job of.
Thank you.
In the far back, recently engaged cameraman from Channel 6.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, we try to bring everyone.
Yeah, he's come in. He's in a situation where he's paying his own way right now this summer. He's looking to gain eligibility from the NCAA that we'll probably find out in the next couple of weeks. And then once we get that ruling, we'll kind of go from there.
Right in the middle, Spencer.
I mean, when I got the notification out, representing my school, honor and privilege.
Yeah, definitely, and a lot of it has to do with experience. But when you look now, you have Haskell coming back. You have Antoine Jackson had a really good offseason. Jerron Cage has brought some veteran presence there. Teron Vincent's in there. Ty Hamilton hasn't played a lot of football, but he's now, in year 2. And then we have a couple young guys in there as well with Tyleek Williams and Mike Hall, who just got into town. So that is as deep as we've had there and as veteran as we've had. So we feel much better right now than we did at this time last year. And but vice versa at the linebacker level, a lot of unknown there. Lost 4 really good players and have to replace them. But the good news about that position is Dallas, Taraja, and Kayvon have been in the program for a while now. So, they're right in line. So now they just need to take the next step. And then, some of those younger guys have an opportunity to come in and make an impact as well. Cody and Tommy and even Reed. So, we'll see. But that's kind of the unknown, just like the defensive tackle was last year. I mean, I think it can take some pressure off of them for sure, and that's where when you have the depth and you have the experience up front, hopefully that can take a little pressure off of those guys. And then the secondary is going to play a veteran as well. If you have the secondary playing better with Proc and Lathan and some of those guys at safety, then and the guys playing better up front, then again it's less stress on that unit.
And the young lady in the back left center.
Well, I think it's one of those big game changers that have happened in college football. I mentioned it earlier today that college football has been through a lot of change, certainly in the last year, and that's a big one. I think that what it's forcing coaches to do is be really transparent in recruiting and over communicate. I think it's inevitable that some guys are going to leave programs and go other places. But I think if you set the expectations on the front end of exactly what it's going to be, it gives you the best chance to keep your team intact. And I think if you look at, we've had guys who have left and we've taken some guys as well. But I think when you look at our program, we've been as solid as most. And we haven't had that many guys leave when you look at the numbers of it all, and we're proud of that.
Second row right, Rob.
Since Kerry coming, adjusted his comfort in his role, most exciting first game. And a guy like that is so
He's like a
Yeah.
brother to me.
Yeah, I mean that might have been a piece of the puzzle, but I think I'm really pleased with where that's at right now. I think we have the secondary surrounded. I think Kerry really likes the role now of being the coordinator. And like you said, he's very relational and very, motivation based and high energy. And so I'm excited to see these guys play this year. I am. I think that the depth that we've created in the back end is strong, and I'm pleased right now with where they're at now. They're going to go out and play and do it, but we'll see.
Right in front, Joey.
Brian, how did you guys go about adding the grad transfer kicker from North Carolina? How did you learn about him?
Yeah, that was, what we wanted to make sure was in that room with 2 new specialists. We had Jesse come in and he's going to handle the punting. And then Jake, we wanted to make sure that we had that solidified. We may be in some situations this year with a young quarterback where a kick on the field may come down to a field goal. And that and the kickoff issues that we had a little bit last year was something where we had an extra scholarship. And, we wanted to make sure that, we were doing our part and making sure we weren't short in that situation as we head into the season or even late into the fall. So Noah's come in and done a great job and understands the situation. Hopefully he can help us.
Middle sitting, Nathan.
Coach Burkhardt, our sports science guy.
Yeah, all those guys should be ready to go for the first day of practice.
Coach Manny was more old school. And, the strength staff, they started paying attention to the science of it. And they paid attention to it. I didn't know how they all the programs in college, they can use it. Maybe formation, like every year. I'm not a scientist.
You might be playing one of these guys, or will be playing one of these guys.
I mean, I did win the belt.
I mean, no, I'm not resigning myself to that, but knowing that may happen. That's kind of the way it goes. It's almost like now it's like free agency in the NFL. Guys can go different places, and I guess you can worry about it and stress about it, but or you can just embrace it and try to do the best you can to manage it. And that's what we're doing.
Over here to the right, Tim.
Yeah, Coach, a couple guys have referred you to Ohio State as the gold standard for the Big Ten. 4 straight championships get you there. Does it feel like a gold target on your back? I mean, how do you deal with that aspect of it and maintaining, so to speak, or improving, so to speak?
I mean, yeah, I think that there's been a target on the back of Ohio State for a long time since I've been here, and that's continued to be the case, and that's a good thing, obviously, that you want to get everyone's best shot, but that means you got to bring it week in and week out. And I've been on the other side of that and felt what that's like when you don't bring it every week. But this is a hard conference and some really good coaches and really good teams, and so you got to bring it week in and week out here. And if you don't, you put yourself at risk. So, but yes, we definitely feel that, and this year is going to be no different.
Do you ever give yourself a chance to look around and see the amount of talent? Obviously, you got to put it all together that y'all have accumulated. I mean, obviously, that's the bottom line, right?
It is. There's a balance, though. I think, Tim, that talent is one thing, but you also have to have a level of maturity with your team. I thought we struck that balance the last couple of years. We had some really good leadership, fifth-year seniors, Jonathan Cooper, when Terry McLaurin was here, Justin Hilliard, even C.J. Saunders didn't play much, but he was a veteran presence in that locker room. And, I'm hoping that we have some of those guys this year. But when you combine that with young talent, I think that's the recipe at Ohio State. If you go too young, like right now, we have 45 first and second year players on our team that I really haven't played a lot of football at all. And that's scary because although they're talented, they haven't played a lot of football. And so eventually they're going to become good football players. But how quickly can we get them to that point without having a spring football season last year, missing 1,000 reps last year with 6 games, and now as we head into that year? So it's that balance that you're looking for of the young, talented guys. But a lot of those guys, they leave in their 3rd and 4th year. They don't get to see that 5th year. So, great example of that is this team we're playing in Minnesota. I mean, they have 5th years all over the place. They have a lot of veteran guys that have played a lot of football, and so that's the balance you try to find.
Right next to Tim, Doug. Over to the right.
Ryan, if the Big Ten looks at expansion, would you like to see the Big Ten look at the University of New Hampshire as a potential addition?
I mean, I think that if New Hampshire came into the league, that we'd all be in trouble because there's some really good football players there. So, but I do think, and I'll give him a little shout out. The head coach there, Sean McDonald, has been through a couple tough years, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play this year because he's a very, very good friend and a great coach. So. Spent a little time with him this summer, and looking forward to see the Wildcats back out there this fall.
I have a real question too. All this stuff that's going on, do you think it could affect your football? Right, where teams are moving and how it affects how you recruit, or what's the possible football effect on your program?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so much change right now. I honestly can't tell you which way's up. I can't to sit here and tell you. With one-time transfer, name, image, and likeness, the Alston case, with talk about CFP expansion, talk about realignment. It's like, wow, there's just so many things right now that we may wake up in 5 years and not recognize college football. It's just there's so many giant things that are going on right now. So to answer your question, I think it could affect all of us. All of these things can. To know what those things are going to be, I can't answer that right now, but I know that there's just been a lot of change, and it feels like a whirlwind sometimes.
Right, front row right, Jack.
Hey Ryan, Paris Johnson's kind of a renaissance man of sorts with his writing career and the stuff he does with his foundation. What's he like to coach, and what is the value of having somebody like him in your locker room?
Very, very impressed with Paris Johnson. Through the recruiting process, his mom, Monica, has been excellent. Sister Sydney, They were a pleasure to recruit, and even now that he's here, he's even better than we thought he would be as a young man. He's moved from tackle to guard, a really unselfish move. Like you said, he does work with his foundation, has an impact on people. He's already shown leadership, and we're very blessed to have him part of the program, and his best football is certainly ahead of him.
Right next door, Jacob.
Hey Ryan, just before your team starts team practices, preseason practices and whatnot, just how important is this summer right now, and how important is Mick Marotti working with your team right now?
Yeah, it's been very, very important. I mean, really, really important. Our guys had never been through all that before. I mean, when you raised the hand on how many guys had been through a summer workout with Mick Marotti, there wasn't that many guys. So a lot of their bodies have changed. You've probably seen some of that on social media. They put on a bunch of weight. They've been working really hard. So physically, that's been big. But more importantly, it's the leadership and accountability and finding ways to create conflict and show leadership, because the first time that happens in a game, when we go down a score or something adverse happens, we need guys to step up in a leadership role. That can't be the first time. And so Mick does a great job of trying to create those type of situations. We'll do that in preseason, because in the end, that's what wins championships, is that leadership. And so there's nobody better in the business than Mick. Mick, I say this to everybody, he takes all the sports science stuff, which we've been doing for a long time at Ohio State. That was there before I got there with Coach Meyer, and all the different sports science and GPS and hydration and all the statistics that we do. But he combines that with an old school work ethic. We're holding guys accountable, where if we say get behind a line, you have to be behind the line. If we say finish through the cone, you have to finish through the cone +2. If you don't, you have to do it again. That's, to me, the key to a great strength and conditioning program, and that's why Mick's been so great.
Harrison, The Ohio State University. As we all know that Jeremy Rucker is only here because Chris Olave couldn't make it. So I was wondering if you can give us some insight to how you were going to get Jeremy involved in the offense this coming season.
That's a very good question, Mr. Harrison. So I just met with former tight end, number 88, Ben Hartstock. And I apparently, and I didn't know this, he's the leading receiver in Ohio State history at tight end. Is that right, Jerry?
Yes.
That's what he said, with 30 catches.
Yeah.
So I left that and said that record has no chance this year. So we got to make sure that we get Jeremy at least 31 receptions.
And then follow up, have you considered moving Jeremy to left tackle, because all he does is block?
There's a guy on our team named Zach Harris who actually played some wide receiver in high school, and now he moved to defensive end. So maybe in a tight end set, like down in the goal line, we might be able to throw him in a tight end and throw him a pass down there in the end zone.
I like that answer. Thank you, Ryan.
I didn't really have to.
Philosophically, which do you like better? Is there one that do you think you should be able to have a hiccup and still win it, or do you like college football is pretty punitive? At least it has been.
No, I like having a little wiggle room in there. Yeah, please. For a lot of reasons. One, for my sleep and my anxiety level. Being honest, I mean, you lose a game in the middle, the beginning of the year, you're out. So knowing that maybe if that happens, you can still go on and play in the playoffs would make for a little bit better nights, a little less anxiety. But I also think that for college football, some of those teams who are vying for, let's say it's 12 teams, that 8, 9, 10, 11 in week 8, 9, or 10 of the season, those games all of a sudden become a little bit bigger, where maybe they wouldn't be without that. I think that would be one argument to have that 12 team or even 8 team, playoff.
Middle, Jim?
Yeah, Coach, I have to circle back to the elephant room, still Alabama. And Coach Allen referred to us as the gold standard. Are they the gold standard? You spend any time thinking about them, or like that being the loss to them, of things that we have to try and do that they do maybe better than us, or don't you spend any time thinking about it?
Oh no, definitely spend a lot of time. Yeah, I mean that's part of the job is benchmarking yourself against other programs, and certainly what what Coach Saban has done down there is tremendous, and his success and the way they've done things is remarkable. So, yeah, definitely look at those things and compare and contrast and try to figure out what that means for Ohio State. 2 different schools, 2 different conferences, 2 different areas of the country, 2 different coaching styles. But, yeah, you try to figure out how you can adjust to get back there. I think last year, again, was a little bit of an anomaly just because of everything that went into the season. So I'm trying not to overreact on it. But certainly, yeah, I mean, they're the team that you want to knock off.
Over here to the right, Tony.
Ryan, going back to your playing days at New Hampshire, if they had NIL back then, would there have been a spot on campus that would have been like a dream endorsement for you?
A what?
Like a dream endorsement back in your playing days on campus.
Dream endorsement for me back then was probably, the local sub shop. You know, something like that. I don't know what else it would be.
What was your go-to sub?
Chicken parm.
Right next door, Dan.
Ryan, is there anybody who's really stood out to you with what they've been able to do in summer workouts?
I think that talking to Coach Mick, he's been very, very impressed with several of our guys. When I ask him who looks the best or, who's he the most impressed with, every day he comes back with somebody else. But the ones that have stuck out, certainly Thayer, Zach Harrison, Garrett Wilson has come up several times. I think he's really hit his stride, which is great. Excited about that. Very impressed with Lathan Ransom. But it's kind of the good news is it's somebody different each time. So that's good news. He's talked about Harry Miller a bunch. He said had an unbelievable summer, so that's been great. But right now he's really bullish on this team. Really likes the way that they're working. Very businesslike. Not a lot of problems. Very mature, and I think maybe going through last year is really paying some dividends in that area where we weren't there to push them every day. They had to kind of figure it out. Now that combined with Mick and everything that's going on, it's been good. So. All the reports we're getting is very positive.
Those freshmen that have come in this summer, what have you seen from those guys so far? What do you like what you're seeing from them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to forget a couple of them, but I think that they've been very, very good. Donovan Jackson's been really impressive. The young corners, JK and Jordan, Andre, they've looked really good. Mike Hall's been doing a nice job. I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody else that's come in this summer, but all those guys really impressive, work ethic wise. I think they have personality. So you can usually tell when you ask Mick, then you go down to the training room, you ask them, then you get academics, you ask them, and by a while you get a pretty good idea of who they are, and if all 3 people are talking about how they have great personality and they're doing things the right way and they're mature, they take care of their business, they really good time management skills. Usually that's a good trend. If you're getting the same kind of thing going the other way, that's usually not a good thing. So you try to ask the different people that they haven't come in contact with. Nutrition, Kayla Olson does a great job. She'll know right away, and all the reports from those guys have been positive.
We're in the final 5 minutes, presented by, next up, Tim May.
Ryan, if one of these 3 quarterbacks wanted to knock your socks off the first 2 weeks, what does it take to knock your socks off when you're looking for a starting quarterback?
To knock my socks off, huh?
Meaning, that's the guy.
Yeah. I don't think you can do that with just one thing. I think it's the consistency, day in and day out. I think when you put the work in the classroom, so that you have the answers when you're on the field, and if you can outwork me or outwork your coach, and ask a question about a piece of film that maybe I didn't see or something like that, that would knock my socks off.
Yeah, I facetiously asked you about that. How much would a starting quarterback be worth? The name, image, and likeness. Remember at the podium earlier today and stuff. But this is a big deal, right? I mean,
big deal.
This is an impact situation.
As big as it gets, right? The quarterback at Ohio State. That's as big as it gets. And I know they all appreciate that, but I don't know at that age if they quite can appreciate what this really means, especially with the type of team that we have and the surrounding cast around them. But the guys who invest the most are going to get the most out of it. So how much does it really matter to you? Like you said, do you really realize what it means? And so, if you're going to wake up early in the morning and you're going to go to bed late at night and you're going to work really, really hard to figure this out, and this is your life, then a lot of good things are going to happen.
Front row middle, Nathan.
Value his versatility, guys like that. Sometimes they need to kind of lock into position to maximize that.
I don't know. I mean, I think when you're playing an interior line, the center is the hardest one, and then I think that the guard is an easier transition. But to answer your question about where he's at, we'll know once he starts hitting. But physically, much further ahead than where he was at this point last year, and stronger. So I think with a year under his belt and going through what he did last year, he's going to be much further along and expecting a high level of play.
Right next door, Jeremy.
Dabo Sweeney said a couple years ago that players were made, he would retire. Is it your position he should retire?
Well, I know this. I know that, again, there's been a lot of change, and that goes to show you how in 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, the whole landscape can change. If someone said to you 3 or 4 years ago, guys are going to make money after the name, image, likeness, they can have one-time transfer, the Alston case, they can make money there, all the things that have come with that. There's going to be an expansion over here. There's going to be all the things that are being talked about. Nobody would believe you. And it's just happening so fast. And so our perspective now and where it was a couple years ago certainly has changed a lot.
That wasn't my real question. But the difference between you guys on the recruiting trail, the decision for Dabo and Clemson, no official visitors during the summer. You guys had almost 50. What's the difference in philosophy there, and how do you think that plays out for you heading into the season?
Yeah, we wanted to get as many of the guys that we were interested on campus. We hadn't been around them. And we felt like these people deserve to be on our campus and get our best shot. And so we worked really hard. Our staff really worked really hard in June, and I think it's going to pay a lot of dividends. We had a lot of unofficial visitors as well, but we, like you said, we had like 50. I think it was 50 plus official visitors. So hats off to our staff. I mean, we really busted our tail. We really like doing official visits in spring. We really don't like doing them in the season. I think it's very distracting, trying to figure out ways to bring official visitors in during a game. I think it's good to see the atmosphere, but you're not getting the coach's attention. And it's all about relationships. And I think we really hit a home run in some of those areas. Some people we brought in, slam dunk. Other people we brought in, it just wasn't the right fit, and that wasn't right or wrong. It just was what it was. And the more we could get those people in front of us, the better feel we had for building our class.
Just got to have time for a couple more questions. Joey?
Right, with name, image, and likeness, I imagine there's a time management component to the. I'm kind of wondering, what have you kind of talked to your guys about that? It's debuted in July, but they'll eventually have endorsement opportunities in the season, out of season. What kind of conversations have you had with them about managing all of that?
We haven't talked much about that, other than a lot of it's going to be on social media. So I don't foresee it being too much of an issue in terms of time management. But if the academics and the football aren't in order, then these opportunities aren't going to be there. And so that's got to be the focus. And certainly it can't take away from academics or football. And that'll be made clear.
Question from Spencer.
That's another guy that's had an unbelievable, off season. He's strong. He's healthy again, really, for the first time. He was dealing with that shoulder that kept popping in and out last year, and he got that fixed. He looks great. He's had a really great attitude. Been working really hard. So excited to see what he looks like this year. And kind of like you said, I think it's he's kind of moved on from all that. And now he's just focused on playing this season.
Final two.
I don't know. I mean, I know he's not hanging back in terms of the way he's working right now. I mean, he's busted his tail to play really, really well this year, and we're expecting him to do that. So it'll be fun to see how this season plays out for him.
Got time for one question from Brendan and then one from Clay. Brendan?
I wanted to ask about Julian and Jackson. Just what do you think the next step is for both of them?
I mean, just going out there and playing. They missed 6 games last year, and I think they're gonna. When you're gonna be pleased with what you see when they're out there. They're just gonna have to compete, and they'll make mistakes, but they put in a good summer. They got to take care of themselves and put in the work. And when you get into a game plan, a lot of work has to be done in the classroom. A lot of work has to be done visualizing the plays, spending time on the field, and working with the quarterback about all the details, the exact splits, the releases, the timing of all those things. And if they take that serious and they put the work in, then they're going to have great seasons.
Over here to Clay.
Might be a question for Jared. Do you know how many of your players have NIL deals?
Yeah, I don't know that. I actually met with the leadership committee this past week, and several of them said they had a few things, but to put a number on it right now, I don't know exactly what that is.
Bill, did you have one last question?
Yes. Last year this time, you wanted to play so much in part because you thought this was something you could play once in a lifetime. Potential team. How do you feel about this team? Do you feel like this? Obviously, you have just you as a quarterback. Do you feel that level of confidence?
I mean, I don't know. I think that we have a chance to be pretty good. I mean, do I know really right now where we're at? Still a lot of unknowns because a lot of young guys haven't played a lot of football. So I can't sit here and tell you that. I think I have a feeling on where we're at in certain areas, and I think that we have some really talented position groups, but there's several of those that just haven't played a lot. So it's hard to say. But I'm hoping somewhere around mid-season we got a better idea of that, and if it is what we think it is, then we got something special. Yeah, so Cam Brown should be available, for the first day of practice. He's been looking great. Cam Babb won't be.
And I'm sorry, I forgot to Tom. Tom, go ahead. Yep.
You got a little look at Zach Harrison's personality earlier. They are talking about him as maybe someone who's going to be one of the vocal leaders this year, right? Up in front of blocks in front of the game. That's very much not who he was in his process.
Right.
He was very private. Is that a reflection of him going in person, of confidence? Where does that come from?
Yeah, I think it's being in the program for several years, but also understanding what it means to be a Buckeye in the state of Ohio. He's an Ohio guy who takes a lot of pride in that, and he's the veteran guy in that room who's played a lot of football. With all of those things bring confidence, and like you said, that if you had told me that in recruiting that he would be that way, I wouldn't have believed you. But he has. He stepped up in a big way. When he sees something, he addresses it. He's got a strong voice now, and I think that comes with a lot of confidence. But very, very proud of the leadership that he's shown so far. And when he speaks, people listen.
Great, Coach.